Hey everyone, it's Brad and Josh here, and we welcome you back, or for the first time, to We'll Bring the Popcorn, your favorite film and TV podcast.
I want to get us now into our film review of the week. So we started with I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is however you want to categorize this. This is obviously a horror film, but it's a reboot that's a sequel that's kind of a little bit of both because you take elements from the original I Know What You Did Last Summer, which was back in 1997, and they bring that to the forefront in this, and they don't hide the fact that it's kind of a continuation on that story with a new generation of people who have this tragic event that happens to them in Southport, and it's kind of the kickoff of the film here. So you have this young group of young adults here who are friends that get together for a night to kind of come together for the engagement of two of the people in the friend group, and they're having their engagement party, and they go and take off and are going to this fireworks, and it leads to this tragic event where a car gets run off the road, and that kind of kicks off the events of this movie. And I think there are some elements there of the original that I think they do well in this movie, but I'm still kind of mixed on how I feel about it overall as far as the tone of the film and just the overall quality of what we were given.
Yeah, I'm going to say we're probably going to have some spoilers with this and talk about the twist and everything else it has in here that it happens. So if you don't want to be spoiled about it, as always, go to our wrap-up that happens at the end where we try to stay as spoiler-free as we can as we give our ratings and reviews. But I'm less mixed on this one because I just felt kind of meh coming out of it. Like it borrowed so much from what has already been done and just kind of rehash it using Gen Z slang and bringing it to a new group. And I felt the characters were more annoying. I was almost more cheering for all of them to die instead of this because it just felt like it didn't give you a moment to really connect or feel sympathy for any of them. The original one, they're out partying, they're having time on the beach, and they're driving home. They've had a few drinks, and they hit somebody with a car, and they dump the body and everything else. And so there's a big connection between this. And this one, it's like, well, we have a perfect spot to go watch a fireworks. Well, it's going to be around this twisty bend. We're just going to park on the road and stand out in the road and watch fireworks. And yeah, a couple cars come by, and we accidentally cause one to run off the road. And they fall down and we just leave them and go. Like the connection there didn't feel very good because they actually hit somebody. This one, he was stupid standing in the road, but they weren't directly responsible for what happened to the guy, even though they did call the police, but they went off without it. You didn't feel very connected to these characters or that they were very connected to the story and how everything unfolded. That they're trying to do nostalgia and throwbacks because you do have Jennifer Love Hewitt and Freddie Prinze Jr. reprising their roles, which I did go back and watch the original, and I still Know What You Did Last Summer. I didn't watch the direct-to-DVD I'll Always Know What You Did Last Summer, just critically panned by everybody as being pretty horrible, but yeah, I Still Know What You Did Last Summer ended with Jennifer Love Hewitt's character potentially being killed off at the end, but she's here. So they haven't connected to what they did before, but they kind of ignore what they did before. And that's where it just felt really strange. It felt like a reboot, but it felt like a sequel. But I didn't really care what they did with the nostalgia about bringing those characters back and stuff, especially as it gets towards the end of the film.
Well, I think what's funny and a little hypocritical about the movie is there's a tagline in the film that says nostalgia is dead. And they're kind of poking fun at the nostalgia of it, but they lean so heavily on the nostalgia in the film that it's like, is it really dead? I don't know. It's a little bit of mixed messaging in here where they do some of the horror elements of it okay, I think.
Some of the kills are
good, good in the movie for a movie type of kill like this. And I know I always get flack from people when I say, "Oh, this is a fun movie where a lot of people die." I don't have those types of issues, I swear, but it's fun in the sense you're going along for the ride on this, and it's a fun ride. It's gruesome and things that these happen in the real world. Obviously terrible. Don't get me wrong, but it's like I got a lot of flack for Final Destination. I'm going off on a little bit just from people that were just like, you call that film a lot. There was a lot of gruesome violence in that movie. I was like, but it's fun, gruesome violence. It's a fun story. It's entertaining.
Over the top movie. Yeah,
it's entertaining. It's inventive. I dig it.
We don't find enjoyment in people getting killed. It's about what it brings to you on the screen. Creativity. Of how it's creatively done. Yeah. If it's enjoyable to watch. If it's not, that's where some of the horror films lose me because they go so dark and gruesome with the kills that it's like, I can't watch this. Like,
and there's a respectable element of that too, where it's just like, okay, this is what you're going for. It made me uncomfortable, which I know is your intention. So good on you for bringing it through and getting that emotion out of me. But yeah, I mean, I don't think this was effective as the original as far as like telling the original story. They kept a lot of those elements with the killer being like a mimic of, the original and doing the kills in a very similar fashion than what they did, obviously, with the slicker and the hook and everything like that, like bringing those elements back to the forefront. But one thing I will give them credit for is I really did like the twist in this film. I did like the twist in the end with the killer reveal and the story behind it and everything like that. I dug that. That one was neat for me, even if it felt kind of obvious if you were paying attention. Like, there wasn't a big, like, oh, I can't believe they went and did this direction. Like, you kind of felt it coming. Like, it didn't surprise me when they revealed who was behind the the whole ordeal or whatever. And I still think they did a good job with that. I think they did okay with it, even if it didn't really blow your socks off. And like, it was a neat twist. I still think that the twist was.
I was very mixed on it because of how you can tell size-wise who was the one doing most of everything. And that it's supposed to be this other person with them, but like that other person was physically, it never looked like they were. Like, we're going to go into spoilers with it because you have a male and a female who end up being the killers here. We won't like say exactly their names, not go that big spoiler, but there's some deeper connections with. But I never felt like the female, from looking at all the different kills and stuff, was ever the one wearing it, because when she did finally wear it at the end, it was big and it was baggy, and you could tell that it was never really her. It was the guy who did everything. And I didn't really like the motivation between the twist with the guy and how he was the one doing it all because he was upset about this and that. But it just didn't fully gel with me after all this time.
The motivation was a little weak for it, but I get where he came from. But I think if you paid enough of attention to the connection between the two characters who were involved in it, it makes sense.
Yeah.
So I get it. But it does very much feel like the guy was more involved in it. There were a couple times where I could tell it was the girl that was involved with it, especially with some of the female attacks that were going on and not necessarily the male attacks, because it wouldn't have looked realistic because the girl that was involved was very much not of the same build as the guys, and they had to look a little bit more believable with the guy taking on the guys. So I did kind of notice it a little bit, but it was okay. Like, it was just okay. Like, I don't think they were breaking any new ground here. Does it feel completely necessary? Maybe not. But like, it was an okay story. I didn't hate the film by any means, but it didn't blow my socks off in any iteration of it either. Like, it was just okay. It was a cool way to kind of bridge the gap between, fans of this from the 90s and people that could potentially watch it today, because you very much leaned into, like you said, the newer generation, Gen Z aspect of like dialogue and things like that were very prevalent in this film that, I could see why they tried to make it work today versus how it worked 30 years ago.
It deals with podcaster who comes to town and stuff as well with it, but I just felt the characters are so annoying. Like, you didn't really connect or care about anybody. Like, you've got Danica, who's kind of the main. It's kind of Danica and Ava, the main stars of the film. But Danica, 100% honestly, annoyed me to death.
Sure.
Like, I was so... like, someone dies close to her in the movie, and then the very first thing that she really says after, do I keep up with my skincare routine? Like, I get it's supposed to be tongue-in-cheek, but the way she delivered everything in this whiny kind of tone voice was just, it got under my skin after a while. And it was also the part of the story. Like, you get her in the beginning, she's engaged with somebody, and then that happens, and then, well, now we're kicking off the bridal shower, but it's not with the same guy, and she's with somebody else, and then everything with her just felt so like annoying. Like they didn't really know what to do with her in a way that we're just going to have you be. And she's clearly the Sarah Michelle Gellar character in this version, but after going back and watching the original, her character was nowhere near as annoying or over the top as Danica was in this. Like she was very highly annoying with everything she did. Like just way crazy emotional. She was very Gen Z, very just crazy, kind of over the top type of character, and it did not work for me with her being, especially something with her at the very end that I talked to you about right after the movie. Like, yeah, how did that happen? Like, no, she wouldn't be. No, like I did not care for that character at all, and it really soured me on the film because she is pretty much the main character outside of Ava in this film. So like if your main character annoys the living crap out of the audience, that's not a good thing.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more about Danica. I really wanted to like Ava in this as well. Like I really did. You kind of felt like she was going to be the more Jennifer Love Hewitt-esque sympathetic figure in this film. And there's times where it is, and then there's just times where just like, no, I think I kind of want her to die too. Like, Danica's your main focus girl in this, but the one thing that really annoyed me about her in this is one scene in particular, and this is a spoiler, so I have to spoil one element of it to kind of make sense for why it really bothered me, the writing in this. When you have her engaged to one character in the beginning of the film, and then you get your time jump and she's engaged to another character. The character that she's engaged to now dies, like gets killed by the killer, but
really early.
Like it's one of the first deaths in the movie, but like not even a day or so later, if that. I don't know. I wasn't paying that much attention to the time dancing around.
It feels like it all takes place within after the year time jump. It feels like maybe a week,
if that. Like she's back in bed with the other dude, cuddling up and like talking on it. Like you were just emotionally devastated about this guy, but now you're like. It just really annoyed me.
Yeah, I get that's kind of supposed to be her annoying, prissy, pampered character, but yeah, just pretty much every aspect of her character annoyed me.
Like you were about to be married to this person, supposedly the new love of your life, and then like they're dead in a very gruesome manner, especially with the way you discover the body in this, and you're so emotionally distraught from this, and you're immediately going to like seek comfort in this other person. Like that meant to you, like you let him get in bed with you. I'm like, come on, man. I get it's a movie, but like it just really like irked me for whatever reason, and I don't know why. But it was just like, really, like you're gonna have her make that decision? That's a terrible decision.
And it did a lot of standard horror tropes that they break into a building and then the killer shows up, and they can't. Every single door they go to is locked. They can't get out, but then they finally open a door and get in, and they run upstairs, or they get trapped by something. Like, how could you not just like two of you lift that off or something else? And it used so many different horror tropes. Like I get it's supposed to try to stay in the vein of the originals and stuff, and the originals didn't stick to stories so much. Like you have the guy who was, killed in the first one, shows back up in the second one. He's back alive again. He gets killed again. He showed up again in the third one. Like it didn't fully stick to reality on stuff, but I just didn't feel like there was anything that it did new or special that really warranted the movie to be made. Like it acted like a reboot, but it's not a reboot. It's a sequel, but it did nothing to really carry itself as its own new thing to maybe set up a new, and it clearly is trying to set up more movies after this. If you stay for the mid-credit scene, you can see what that's all about, but it just tried to stick to the formula so closely that it didn't really have its own identity other than all the characters being annoying, that you didn't really care that if they all died, they all died.
Let's talk about that just briefly, because you mentioned that like it's meant to do something more. Like, are you supposed to care about the characters that make it out of this film? But your mid-credit scene goes back to a couple of nostalgia characters. Like it's like what are we doing here? Like,
is it a sequel that's all nostalgia, or is it a reboot that's trying to bring you into a new direction?
That was the last point I wanted to make too. Is just like you get to this mid-credit scene and it's characters from the previous movies, and you're just like, why? What are we doing? You're teasing something moving forward with them, and it's just like, okay, that's fine, whatever. Like, just at that point, I was kind of just like, okay, I'm glad this movie's done. We can come in here and we can talk about it and we can go over it. But man, it felt so unnecessary, like you said. Like it was fine for what it was, but it wasn't. If you're looking for this to break some kind of new ground, you're just not going to get it. Like it's just.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, since I went back and rewatched the first and the second one, I had so much more fun and enjoyment going back. And even though, like I said, that one is from our era, and we watched it when it came out, and it was right there along Scream and everything else with us when that first came out. But I feel like they did so much better with the story and the characters and the sense of dread and like horror aspects of them, and all that just felt like it worked so much better in the original, and with this one it just felt like we're kind of doing the bare bones basic just to make it tied to what it was before, but we don't know if we're a reboot or if we're a sequel or exactly what we are. It didn't really have its own identity.
Yeah, and I want to point to one thing before we go into our wrap up here that just really annoyed me too. The girl that plays the lead in this, who plays Danica, she's kind of becoming a more well-known actress. She's kind of showing up in some more things and kind of doing it, and good for her. She does a fine job playing the character that she plays in this film. But she made like a really silly comment in some of the media about this film that just kind of irked me, where she said the line, "I know what you did last summer, walked so Scream could run." I want to say one thing perfectly clear. As much as I loved I Know What You Did Last Summer, the original, when people talk about their favorite horror franchises of all time, I Know What You Did Last Summer very, very, very rarely makes anyone's top 10 list, and Scream makes virtually everyone's. Mm-hmm. There's a reason that became a franchise that's made 6, 7 films at this point, and this is just the third or fourth. I Know What You Did Last Summer, if you count the DVD one as well, like this is technically the fourth. But nowhere near the franchise that Scream became. Like, let's make one thing perfectly clear there.
And Scream was much more successful. Like, it hasn't been perfect with the reboots from, like, Scream 4 and everything, but it was able to continue on and do some new things and change things up a little bit while keeping to the formula much better than this one was. Maybe they'll do better in doing a sequel to it, but yeah, it just felt like it's a reboot, it's a sequel, they didn't do so well. And I will say there was one cameo that wasn't mentioned or talked about, which they were able to keep secret. I'm not going to reveal who that was, but I really enjoyed that sequence. Like, I thought that one was done really smart. The other cameos with having Jennifer Love Hewitt's Jamie come back and everything, or Julie James. All those J's, Julie James, and Freddie Prinze Jr.'s Ray, having them back. It just kind of, those felt like nostalgia that they didn't really do the greatest with. They were just kind of there to service things. That's why kind of the ending and all that, I was just like, eh. But hers was actually okay. That one kind of makes sense, and it fits into the mental state and what they're dealing with, and she's harkening back on that. It actually worked and was a fun sequence. But yeah, the rest of the movie just felt like, was, as you mentioned, was this necessary to do?
Yeah, in the sense of Scream, they very much tried to have Jennifer Love Hewitt's character be the Sidney Prescott in this film, where they're going back to her for advice after these things are happening to her, and it felt very in that ilk, but definitely not done as well as they do with that in the Scream film. But yeah, I mean, it just is what it is. I think we can kind of go into giving our thoughts on overall here. But in the end, I Know What You Did Last Summer is a sequel that's a reboot, that's a sequel that's trying to mimic what it did before and tried to capture some of that same magic that happened in the original I Know What You Did Last Summer. And it just doesn't connect in the same way. The characters, there's not really any redeeming quality in any of the people that survive in this film. And it sets up potentially further stories with maybe characters that were part of the nostalgia to begin with, as opposed to, the people that survive in this film. And it's just such an up and down ride that some things were done well. A lot of things weren't done as effectively as the original. And it really didn't break any new ground for me. For this, I'm giving it a 5.5 out of 10. It's not a terrible, terrible film, but it's not that great either. So it's just kind of all right. And I think it falls in that 5.5 range for me. I'd like to give it a better score. The twist in it was, I think I'm a little bit more positive on the twist in the film than you were, but at the end, it still doesn't redeem the film for me. So for that, I have to give it a 5.5.
Yeah, I'm giving I Know What You Did Last Summer, this sequel reboot thing, a 4.5. Like, I didn't really feel that it was a necessary film. Like, it tries to lean on the nostalgia big time, but it's trying to create something new, but it never really has its own identity. It's just kind of more of the same, which could be fun if you actually cared about the characters. Like you said, there was no redeeming qualities about any of these characters. You were more kind of cheering, all right, they all need to get their comeuppings, instead of like cheering on anybody to survive, because they all felt like they were kind of just so people. Like, you didn't really care what was going on. And yeah, I didn't care for the twist as much, because I got it, but I just didn't care for it. I didn't think it really worked. And, of course, it stuck to so many standard tropes from other horror films, but also just kind of by the numbers of what has been done before. So it didn't really offer anything new or interesting that I really cared for. So when I left the film, I was just feeling like, it happened. It's there. It's not something I would probably watch again. Like, it was kind of disappointing, because I do enjoy the first two. Of course, everyone forgets about the third one. I was hoping that they would try to do something a little new and different and move it in a different direction, give a solid twist and maybe some better kills. But when you don't care about the characters that are in it's a horror movie, you don't always have to care about it. But if you've got a group of people and you're trying to tell a story that's all about their struggles and their issues with something that they did wrong, I never really cared, because it didn't feel like they cared at all. So yeah, in the end, I'm giving it a 4.5.
Yeah, I mean, they tried to make an updated telling of the story, and they really didn't update a whole lot. It's unfortunate. I mean, go check out the movie, form your own opinion on it. Come to our YouTube comments, come to all our social media posts, and let us know if you think any differently. But yeah, I mean, I Know What You Did Last Summer is in theaters now. Go check it out. Let us know what you think. If you think we're on par with this, if you think we missed the boat entirely, tell us what you think worked for you. We'd love to have that conversation, and we're always open to talk about it. But yeah, this definitely feels like a bit of a letdown film, and definitely not going to be anywhere close on our top favorite films of the year. So it is what it is, and we'll keep the train rolling. There's a lot more movies to look forward to this year, but I don't even know if this is going to be one I go back and revisit anyway.
Yeah, I don't think so either. And of course, we got Weapons and some others that are coming out later this year that'll probably make everyone forget that this kind of even came out.
To find all of the episodes of We'll Bring the Popcorn, go to our YouTube page, hit the like and subscription button so you're getting our episodes when they drop each and every Monday. If you're listening to us in the audio room on any of the podcasting platforms that we're on, please don't forget to give us a 5-star review. It really helps elevate the profile of the show. And don't forget to go to willbringthepopcorn.com, where it has all of our archive videos, all of our social media information, as well as our merch store, so you continue to support the show in that way. We cannot thank you enough for your continued support.